UFC Fight Night, Moreno versus Albazi is this weekend. I'm sorry for the late picks. I usually am, better with that Wednesdays usually, but I fell behind because I was really looking at some of these fights and I don't know who to pick. I'm being serious here. I usually have in my mind a guy who I'm clear and set on. This time there's a couple of these fights, man, where I really don't know who's the right side. So I'm going to do my best. Some of these fights I still have not come to a conclusion on, but I guess I'm going to just figure it out because I got to get these picks out. But yeah, man, let's get right into it. First up, one I don't really have to sweat, and I'm going to be going Cody Gibson here. Chad is bottom of the barrel. He's very extremely mediocre. I mean, I'm not joking, guys. I think I could go in there and give the guy a tough fight. I think I could probably beat him. He's small. He doesn't hit hard. His boxing is very okay. His calf kicking is okay. He's got a very mediocre style, okay, where he's just below average at everything, but kind of okay at. When you look at the other side, Cody Gibson, a dog. You know what I mean? The dude is very, very tough. He's very, very durable. He's taken some big shots from Miles Johns, as well as Brad Katona was hitting him with some pop. Brad Katona, let me chill out. But that fight with him and Brad Katona was a war. Crazy fight, and Chad would not put up that kind of fight. Let's be real here. But when I look at it, Gibson's longer. He's taller, and he does crash forward and enter the pocket a little bit too much. But when it comes to the skill set, the wrestling, I think Cody's better there, as well as the ground submissions. He's better there as well. We've seen, Chad get submitted before. So I think the pick is easy here. I'm going to be going with Cody Gibson. I think he could find a submission here. Chad is just, like I said, man, he's very mediocre. He's not great at anything. There's like nothing he stands out where he's like really good at. He's lost to Jose Johnson, a couple other people. He's not really good. And he should probably be a flyweight because he's very, very small. So I'm going to be going with the right pick and the guy who's going to win this fight, Cody Gibson. Next up is going to be Serhiy, Sidey, and Garrett Armfield. Now, this is one where I am just torn on. I'm not picking. I don't know who to pick here. I still don't know. Now, Serhiy Sidey just fought a boxer in Ramon Taveras. He's going up against another guy who likes to use the hands a lot and has good hands, and in my eyes has better power than Ramon Taveras. And I do think he is a better fighter than Ramon Taveras as well. But the gas tank of Armfield is a little bit concerning. He went all three with Brad Katona. And in that he-stand fight, he was extremely tired, but the pace was insane in that fight. But I feel like when you look at it, Serhiy Sidey's going to have the better cardio, as well as he's, going to probably land more volume. Now, Serhiy Sidey doesn't use his range that well. You saw it in the Taveras fight. He got dropped 2 times. In that fight, I thought he lost unanimously. I thought, getting dropped 2 times, not really doing anything to get those licks back, I guess. He kind of, to me, lost that fight pretty easily. And then Armfield, you look at the wrestling, grappling side of things, and I've seen a ton of people talking about Sidey's the better wrestler, and I don't think so. I think Armfield's the better wrestler. I think he's better on the ground, and I think if he wants to take Sidey down, I do think he's going to be able to. Sidey's got good submissions, I will say that. So does Armfield. He's standing in some trouble. It's a very, very close fight for me to call, man. I could see it going both ways. I got to go with my gut. I'm going with Garrett Armfield to win because I think he can hurt Sidey. We've seen Sidey get dropped, but I think we're in for a possible little Canadian sprinkle on the decision. But I think the Canadian might get a little sneaky decision. But overall, man, I do like Armfield's hands, and I do think it's going to be a little bit harder here. But I think, the guys at Marathon MMA, you got Trey Ogden in your corner. He comes up with great game plans. Trey Ogden is an up-and-coming coach, even though he's a fighter in the lightweight division who's actually, pretty good. He comes up with great game plans. You could tell the guy has fantastic IQ. I'm going to trust him and his IQ, and I'm going to trust Garrett Armfield to come out and execute whatever Trey Ogden's game plan is against Serhiy Sidey. So I'm going to go with Garrett Armfield. I think he'll get it done. I think a KO, man. I think, next up is going to be Alexandr Romanov versus Rodrigo Nascimento, another fight where I'm just scratching my head a little bit. I'm going to go with Romanov. I got to go, with your whatever your gut says, guys. Always listen to your gut. I'm going to go with Romanov, and I think he's the right guy here. Rodrigo Nascimento finds himself in the clinch a ton, and you don't really want to do that with Romanov. He's got great clinch takedowns. He's got good wrestling. I looked at his coach's Instagram. He looks like he's in a little bit better shape. Looks like he's working a lot harder here. He's got to get a win here. He really has to get a win, get back on track. I don't think Nascimento does anything great. He doesn't do anything spectacular. He's a little bit fat. So is Romanov. But when it comes to the strength aspect, I think Romanov can get him down. I do. Like I said in that clinch where Nascimento is constantly clinching. He does that a lot. I think, we'll see Romanov drag him to the ground, hopefully. But I do think Romanov on the feet, he's got a better left hand. He's probably not a better striker, but Nascimento is not a good striker. I got to go with my gut again, man. I'm going to go with Romanov to win this one. Hopefully he gets like a chubby heavyweight, submission, Americana, Kimura, something like that. It's such a tough one, bro, because I could see it going both ways. But yeah, Jack Shore taking on Youssef Zalal. Man, the disrespect to Jack Shore has been a little bit ridiculous. I've seen tons of people hating and saying, oh, he's got no chance here, and talking about how good Youssef Zalal is. Look, guys, I think Youssef is a good fighter, but let's not act like he didn't. He lost 3 fights in a row in the UFC, right? Something like that. All to decent opponents. Ilya Topuria and Sean Woodson being one of them, or 2 of them, which are good fighters. But, you look at who he's fought. Jarno Aarons, Billy Q. Jack Shore is a massive, massive step up, guys. Let's not act like he's not. He really is. But I like Zalal. I do think he'll get this one done. But I do think when it comes to the ground game, where I see people saying Zalal's so good on the ground and this and that, let's not forget Jack Shore is excellent on the ground. And I do think he is the better guy on the ground here. But I do think when it comes to the striking, I think Jack Shore's going to have a hard time cutting the cage off, tracking Youssef Zalal down. I think when it comes to the volume, harder shots landed, I think Youssef Zalal will win. But I think if, Jack Shore comes in there and looks to wrestle, we could see it turn the other way. Because Jack Shore is a good fighter. Let's not get it twisted, man. But overall, I think I'm going to pick Youssef Zalal to win a 29-28 decision because of his striking. I do think it's a little bit better, more dynamic. He's got really good lateral movement, hard to catch. And I do think he'll get this one done. But let's not act like Youssef Zalal is some type of top 5 fighter, man. He's not that crazy, all right? So next up is going to be Victor Henry taking on Charles Jourdain. This one's a very interesting one because, honestly, Jourdain has some ways to win, but I feel like the better guy is Victor Henry here. Jourdain, Victor Henry loves to roll with shots, and that can be a bit of a problem, especially against such a dynamic kicker like Jourdain. If he rolls with the shot and a kick's coming right after it, he's going to sleep, okay? But I think when it comes to the overall of MMA, I really do like Victor Henry. He's a very, very solid fighter. He can really pour on that volume, man. That's what he does. He's a volume striker that has great defense, as well as I do think he can wrestle here. I don't really think Jourdain has that wrestling. He's got good defensive submissions, and he's a pretty good wrestler, but to me, Henry's going to be the better guy here. As well as, we're seeing Jourdain cut from 45 to 35. You could see that gas tank go down a little bit, and especially if you're in front of a guy like Victor Henry who's going to absolutely pour on the volume. I'm talking, he gets in the hundreds of strikes. He can really do that to you and, pressure you and break you down. A guy cutting from 45 to 35 gives me a lot of things to think about. I don't think it's the right thing to do. So I do think, overall, I think the safe guy's Victor Henry, and I like the value on Victor Henry as well. I think he's an underdog here. I do think he'll get this one done. He's a very good fighter, man. He's really, really skilled. And, yeah. Next up is going to be Jasmine Jasduvaicius versus Ariane Lipski. Ariane Lipski is she's good looking. But Jasduvaicius will get this one done. She's got good ground game, Lipski has shown the ground defense ain't crazy good. She's been taken down before. Jasduvaicius is a dog in there, man. She'll work for them takedowns, and I do think she'll get this one done. Probably a bit of a stinky decision. Lipski ain't great. But yeah, I'm going Jasduvaicius. Next up is going to be Pedro Munhoz versus Aiemann Zahabi. This is one where I've gone back and forth, and I know it's kind of crazy because I've seen tons of people picking Aiemann Zahabi here. I don't really know what they're seeing, honestly, guys. He's nothing special, and the matchup compared to Munhoz actually is pretty favorable for Munhoz. When you look at it, Munhoz lands a ton of strikes and volume, and Zahabi don't land like that. He doesn't land a ton of strikes. he's kind of just sitting there, very patient. He hits pretty hard. It's hard for me because I feel like the game plan is so out on Pedro Munhoz. It is so out. Everybody knows how to beat him. Just box with him. Just do that. And I just feel like, Fares Zahabi is like one of the, best minds in the sport. He's got to come up with a good game plan for Aiemann to get this one done, and I just feel like there's no way he's going to lose. I don't know how to explain it, but I do think like it's a favorable matchup for Pedro Munhoz. A guy who's not going to throw a ton of volume, but I do think when it comes down to it, the bigger shots are going to be landed by Zahabi. I'm not big on Zahabi. I think he struggles versus any technical striker at 35. We saw it with the Javid Basharat, where Basharat could have won that fight easily. I thought it was a little bit closer, actually, but he was just making mistakes, doing too much. Zahabi sucks, actually. He's not good. But I do think he'll get it done. Unfortunately, I've kind of fallen into the trap of the Zahabi. But I do, originally I'm on Munhoz. I'm like, damn, he can get this one done. And he is an underdog now, where I think there's value, man. But, and as well as Zahabi knocks out a lot of his guys because of his timing. He does have really good timing with the hands. He kicks pretty hard. But over the course of the fight, bro, the volume of Pedro Munhoz can really break you down. He's not going to go away. He is very durable. It's such a weird fight. But I'm going to go with Zahabi because of the cornering, and the game plan is so out on how to beat Munhoz, and he doesn't adjust to anything. So he's just coming out there to basically fight. He doesn't shoot takedowns. I think if that would benefit him here, he's a very good jiu-jitsu guy with good wrestling. He never shoots takedowns, so I don't think he'll shoot a takedown here, and if he does, Zahabi will be ready for it. I'm going with Aiemann Zahabi. Unfortunately, he sucks, but he'll get it done. Trevin Giles taking on Mike Malott. Now, look, guys, I'm going to be real honest with you. I don't think Mike Malott is all that. Let's be real. He's not that good. He lost to Magny, but even in his other fights before that, the dude's real stiff on the feet. He's really stiff on the feet. Let's be real here. Honestly, guys, don't be surprised if Trevin Giles comes out there in the first round and starts beating the hell out of Mike Malott. It's going to happen, more than likely. It's just so hard to rely on Trevin Giles because he, honestly, he's probably worth the sprinkle at the price he's at because the dude is actually really skilled. I mean, when you look at it, man, he's got good striking. He's got good leg kicks. He's got a great jab. And he's a tough matchup for Malott ultimately, but it's just the dude's durability, man, and his fight IQ. His durability, man. The dude, any straight shot, you're out. Prates put him out with a straight. Duplessis put him out with a straight. The dude's been put out with everything. As well as I do think, on the feet, I'm Trevin Giles is going to get the better of Mike Malott. Simple as that. But it's just one counter from Malott could drop him and the fight's over. As well as when it comes to the BJJ, the wrestling, Malott's a little bit better there as well, I do think. But, I would not be surprised if Trevin Giles comes out there and wins this fight. I really wouldn't. I mean, he's a good fighter. But overall, man, when you look at the do's and don'ts, Trevin Giles is chinny. He's real chinny, and he makes dumb decisions. I'm going to have to go with Mike Malott here to win this one via some finish. I think he'll get it a club and sub probably. But, yeah. What a great main card fight, man. Marc-Andre Barriault taking on Dustin Stoltzfus. Dustin Stoltzfus, if he comes in here and wrestles, he can have success. What I don't like about Stoltzfus is him just standing right in the pocket with everybody. The dude just stands there. He is a bit stupid. He's got a big old head. He could take some shots. He definitely can. But over the course of the time, when you got a guy like Marc-Andre, he is a bit chinny as well. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, but he's tough. He's got great dirty boxing. He's got great cardio, great pressure, great volume. Stoltzfus is a legit robot. He does kind of hit hard, I will have to say that, but when you're trading with him, he doesn't move his head, and he's like this. He's right here, just hit me. He's a bit stupid. I do think if it goes to wrestling, Stoltzfus is actually a pretty good wrestler, man. He really is, but Marc-Andre's defended takedowns from guys like, Anthony Hernandez before Anthony got him down. But I think Marc-Andre's the right pick here. I do believe he is a little bit better. On the feet, he's going to be better. Sharper, quicker, more accurate, more volume. Not really an easy fight for Marc-Andre. Guys, I'm sorry. This card is just kind of atrocious. Let's be honest here, man. There's some terrible fights on this card, and this is one of them. But yeah, I think I'm going to pick Marc-Andre to win this fight. I guess I'm a little bit spoiled from 308. But yeah, this is a horrible fight. Horrible card. I'm sorry. So yeah, next up we got Caio Machado taking on Brenson Ribeiro. I don't know what's going on here because the Caio Machado that I've seen is an atrocious fighter. And you look at the other side of Brenson Ribeiro, I mean, you look at the guys he's fought, Magomed Gadiazulov as well as Mingyang Zhang, both really good fighters. There's no shame in losing to those guys as well as having moments in those fights. He hurt Magomed Gadiazulov with leg kicks as well as he hurt Mingyang Zhang with the hands. The guy has had success versus good fighters. And that's something extremely to take into note. I mean, Caio Machado has lost to Mick Parkin and Dontel Mays. Mick Parkin ain't terrible, but Dontel Mays is atrocious, man. If you're losing to Dontel Mays, I don't even know what to tell you, man. And you got Caio Machado moving down in weight. It's very suspicious. I don't know what I'm supposed to think of this guy. I don't know what he's good at. I literally don't know what he's good at because I've watched him. You know, when you watch a fighter, you're like, oh, okay, they're a striker. I don't know what the fuck the guy's good at. I don't know what he does well. Everything he does sucks. Like, he's slow. You know, I don't know what he's supposed to be good at. And I don't know why this is a fight on the main fucking card. I mean, both these guys 0-2 in the UFC. Makes no sense. When I look at it, though, Ribeirio's got long strikes. He hits very, very hard. You know, his ground game isn't horrible, and I think that's what Caio Machado plans to do is take him down. Ribeirio's not that bad on the ground. I don't know much about his takedown defense, but he was able to take down Magomed Gadiazulov, and then he did get taken down. So I think the cardio might be Caio Machado, but early on, man, it's going to be all Ribeiro. He's fast. He's hard to hit. He's not hard to hit, I'm sorry. But he is kind of like, I don't know how to explain Ribeiro. He's like weird because his reach is so fucking long. But like that southpaw matchup, I know Caio's a southpaw. I think that right hand of Ribeiro is going to sit him down because, dude, that thing is nasty. His kicking game is good. Like I said, his low kicks hurt Gadiazulov. He's like one of those guys with freak athletic power and shit. He's really powerful. I don't know what Caio Machado does well. I still have yet to figure it out, and I don't know what he's doing here. He needs to go back to Street Beefs or something because I don't know what he's doing. But I'm going to pick Brenson Ribeiro via KO. I think he's going to get a finish. All right. Derek Lewis taking on Gervonta Diniz. And I've seen people hating on Gervonta Diniz saying he ain't that good of a striker. The dude is really good. He's really good. My issue here is what if he exchanges with Lewis? It kind of reminds me of the Serhiy Pavlovich fight, guys, like where Serhiy coming in there as such a nice, like, big-ass marauder striker, and he's going against Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis is a guy, if you exchange with, you're going to be in danger. And, you know, we saw Serhiy Pavlovich get the better of him. I think Gervonta Diniz is a very similar situation. I think he's fast. And I think that's going to give Lewis some problems, as well as if Gervonta Diniz sits back, I'm not huge on his defense, but I do think his leg kicks are really good, and we've seen Derek get spun around with leg kicks. I think he's going to beat the hell out of that lead leg of Lewis, as well as, dude, the dude is, like, crisp. He's fast, man. He hit that check hook versus Carl Williams. It was so quick. And he hits hard as shit, too, man. The dude hits real hard. I do think the lateral movement, the quickness of Gervonta Diniz is going to give Lewis a lot of problems. And I do think, actually, Lewis can wrestle. I do think that. Derek Lewis is such a weird fighter. You know, you can't really bet on him. I don't – he's such a strange fighter to bet on. I'm going to lean Gervonta Diniz, man. He's taking this real serious. His striking is quick. It's crisp. His leg kicks are nasty, and he's going to use that a lot in this fight, I'm assuming. Derek Lewis is heavy on that lead leg. I think he'll use that to take away some of the power of Lewis as well as the movement, okay? I do think Gervonta Diniz might get a decision win here or a round 2 KO, something like that. So I'm going to be picking him to win. Next up, we got Erin Blanchfield taking on Rose Namajunas. Guys, you know I'm not huge on WMMA. Just not my thing. I did decide to pick the ones for this fight because I'm just him. I guess I just don't really like, I don't know, man. It's like, they're cool, but, bro, it's just not my thing. But I think I'm going to lean Blanchfield here, and I think it's that size. I do think the size of Blanchfield could cause Namajunas some problems because Rose is going to be better on the feet. Blanchfield Tyler Santos was tagging her up. But the clinch could be good for Blanchfield. But I do think her size and her physicality is going to give Rose some problems. Rose is little as hell. I feel like I could throw her like a football. She's so small. So I do think Blanchfield will get this one done via a stinky decision. But yeah. Next up, the main event. Brandon Moreno taking on Amir Albazi. And I'm going to be picking Brandon Moreno. Now, I think Brandon Moreno looked so dog shit in his last fight. I think he looked pretty good versus Pantoja, but he looked like shit against Royval, and I do think that. But I go back to his earlier fights, and the dude has a nice jab. He's got great striking. And I do think we'll see Amir Albazi try to take him down, and I don't really think it's going to work out. I think the best thing that Amir can do is to go in there and put Moreno on the back foot and don't let him be comfortable standing in the middle of the octagon, which Amir does pretty well. But I do think the overall striking, the cardio is another thing I want to talk about, because Amir Albazi definitely slowed down in that fight versus Kai Kara France. You can't slow down. Moreno's got so much 5-round experience. The guy's going to come forward. He's got great grappling. I don't know if Amir's going to be able to take him down, but later on I do think Moreno can mix in the wrestling as well. But that jab of Moreno I think is going to be a big problem for Albazi. I do. Albazi's a big guy for flyweight. For flyweight, he's a big guy. My bad. He is a big guy, okay? But, and I do think he hits a little bit harder than Moreno. We've seen Moreno get dropped. I don't really trust in Amir Albazi striking like that. I'm going to go with Moreno. I think he's a more slick striker. He's got good leg kicks. And when it comes to the cardio, the 5-round experience, the experience versus the top of the food chain, I think Moreno's going to get this one done. Amir Albazi also, I thought he lost to Kai Kara France. I did pick Amir Albazi to beat Kai Kara France, and I still think he lost. So I think the right guy is going to be Moreno here. I think he'll get this one done, but not too confident on that one. Not confident on any fucking pick on this card because it's extremely hard to predict. But I'm going to go with Brandon Moreno. I think he gets this one done via a decision 49-46. I hope y'all boys enjoyed, and I will catch y'all in the next one.